The Truck Chronicles, a suburban showdown. I hadn't been in my new neighborhood for more than a few months when I found the first sign of passive-aggressive suburbia, a neatly folded note under my windshield wiper. It was printed in Comic Sans cursive and read, "Just a friendly reminder, we don't park trucks in driveways overnight." Smiley face. HOA standards. At first, I laughed. My truck, a dusty old Ford F-150, wasn't breaking any rules. I checked the bylaws before moving in. Still, I gave the note the benefit of the doubt. Maybe it was a neighbor trying to be helpful. But then it happened again. Same note, same handwriting. This time, a sentence was highlighted and underlined. HOA compliance is not optional. That's when I started asking around and learned about Linda, capital LHOA board vice president, self-appointed enforcer of community vibes, and apparently my personal driveway inspector. Linda introduced herself one sunny Saturday morning while I was pressure washing the walkway. She marched over in white capris and a visor that looked like it moonlighted as a tennis racket, holding a clipboard and oozing superiority like it was her job. "You must be the truck guy," she said, not offering a name or a handshake. "We try to avoid industrial-looking vehicles parked where guests can see them. It's aesthetic pollution." I stared at her, wondering how long it had taken her to workshop that phrase. "It's my driveway," I replied plainly, "and the bylaws say I can park a personal use vehicle there." Linda didn't flinch. "Well, rules can be updated, especially when the community agrees something is unsightly." From then on, it became a silent war. Every time I parked in the driveway, the note would appear. She started escalating, taking photos from across the street, emailing anonymous complaints to the HOA board, which I later found out was just her sending them from her burner Gmail, and citing fake bylaws like Article 3B, no vehicles with tires larger than 31 inches. I half expected her to start measuring with a tape. Then came the flyer's bright orange slips left on my door, declaring a community appearance audit coming soon. It was clearly a power move, one she didn't expect me to ignore. But I did. The truck stayed. It became a point of pride. That's when Linda decided to get personal. She stopped by one afternoon while I was replacing a spark plug, acting sugary sweet. "Hey, listen, I've got family coming in 2 weeks for my daughter's engagement party. We're expecting a lot of guests. Would you mind, just for the day, parking your truck somewhere else so they can use your driveway?" I blinked. "You want me to move my truck so your guests can park in my driveway?" She smiled like it was the most normal request on earth. "Yes, it's just better for overflow. Your house has the best access point, and honestly, some of my guests are older." I couldn't believe what I was hearing. "Yeah, I'm going to pass on that." Her smile thinned into a sneer. "I just hope the board doesn't think you're being unneighborly." After that, things got weirder. I'd find bird seeds scattered under my truck on a street with hawks. Someone tossed a lemon peel in my bed. Minor things, but Linda was testing boundaries, seeing how far she could push before I snapped. I didn't. Instead, I started documenting every note, every oddity, every sarcastic little, just a suggestion, left taped to my garage door. One even said, "Some residents think your truck screams contractor energy. Maybe consider a smaller vehicle." My truck is stock. Linda was losing it. Then came the neighborhood audit, a fake event Linda orchestrated to gather fake evidence. She paraded around with a clipboard and a camera phone, pretending to take community notes, but everyone knew it was just about me. One neighbor shouted, "Linda, you need a hobby," as she crouched beside my trash bins for a photo op. I waved. She didn't wave back. Later that night, someone left a paper plate of cookies with a note. "You're dealing with her now. Godspeed." The next morning, a new note appeared. "Failure to comply with community aesthetics may result in escalated action." That's when I realized this wasn't about the truck. This was about control. Linda had probably spent her life gathering just enough authority to feel powerful, and my refusal to comply had triggered her inner tyrant. I expected another note, maybe another fake flyer. But what I didn't expect was what happened 2 nights later when I woke up to red and blue lights flashing through my curtains and the sound of a firm knock at the door. It was 3:04 a.m., and Linda had officially lost her mind. When I opened the door at 3:04 a.m., still half asleep in basketball shorts and a Wu-Tang Clan t-shirt, I expected maybe a coyote situation or some poor Amazon driver having a breakdown. What I didn't expect was 2 police officers standing on my porch, one of whom was actively suppressing a smirk. "Sir, we received a call about a suspicious vehicle parked in your driveway," one of them said, gesturing toward my truck like it was a stolen tank. Caller reported it as abandoned, possibly stolen, and aggressively large. I blinked. Aggressively large. I repeated. The younger officer let out a snort. That's the phrasing she used. Said the truck was threatening the harmony of the neighborhood. I looked past them, and sure enough, across the street, behind the curtains of her perfectly symmetrical windows, I could see a silhouette watching. Linda. I was now officially living in a petty war zone. I explained the situation. I owned the truck. It was registered, insured, and legally parked in my own driveway. The officers nodded, clearly realizing this was a bogus call, but still had to go through the motions. Honestly, one said as he handed me back my license, "We've been here before. Same lady called last year on a guy because his Halloween decorations were too pagan." I apologized for the wasted time, but the officers actually apologized to me. "You might want to talk to the HOA, the taller one said, "or a lawyer. She's clearly got a vendetta." I chuckled as they left, but it wasn't funny anymore. Linda had escalated from paper notes to law enforcement. Later that morning, I checked my email and found a message with the subject line, "Urgent community concern, parking abuse." Attached was a PDF titled Emergency HOA Meeting Agenda, Parking Enforcement Proposal. It was a 5-page manifesto clearly written by Linda, loaded with passive-aggressive bullet points like excessive vehicular masculinity and vehicles that undermine neighborhood charm. She'd included photos of my truck taken from multiple angles and claimed it was a recurring source of visual distress during events and holidays. The best part? She proposed assigning guest parking priority zones, meaning that certain homes like mine would be designated overflow lots during neighborhood events. Basically, she wanted to turn my driveway into the community's valet station. That week, she tried to hold the emergency HOA meeting in her backyard gazebo. No official board approval. No quorum. No proper schedule. Just folding chairs, lemon water, and a printed sign that read, "Community safety starts with compliance." I didn't attend, but my neighbor Erica did. Erica, bless her snarky soul, showed up in a camp chair with a mug that said, "Not today, Linda." She took live notes. According to her post on Nextdoor later that night, the meeting devolved into Linda lecturing for 45 minutes about neighborhood presentation cohesion and guest-centric accessibility. When someone asked how legally enforceable her plan was, she snapped, "It's not about legality. It's about expectations." Half the attendees walked out. 2 days later, I got an official-looking letter in my mailbox labeled HOA Sanitation Compliance Notice. It accused me of violating Section 4B, Maintenance of Driveway Space, claiming my truck's undercarriage could leak fluids and attract scavenger animals. I checked the bylaws. Section 4B? It was about leaf collection. Linda was faking citations. That's when I went public. I uploaded a post to the neighborhood Facebook group titled, "When Linda Attacks, a Truck Owner's Diary." It included photos of the truck, every fake violation notice, and screenshots of her ridiculous parking proposal. The comments poured in. Turns out, I wasn't the only target. One guy shared how she cited him for excessive wind chimes. Another said she called animal control because his dog's barks sounded sarcastic. A third posted a photo of a ruler sticking out of his lawn. She had threatened to fine him over grass height differential. Suddenly, the neighborhood had receipts. The post went semi-viral, at least locally. Over 100 comments. A dozen memes. Someone photoshopped a picture of my truck wearing Groucho Marx glasses and labeled it "the suspect." Linda responded by doubling down. She walked the block with a whistle and clipboard, pretending to survey yards. When she jotted something down in front of my house, I stepped outside. "Something wrong, Linda?" I asked, holding my coffee. "Just doing a property width analysis," she sniffed. "Pretty sure that's not a thing," I said. "Well, some of us care about how this neighborhood looks to outsiders." I sipped my coffee. "Don't worry. Nobody's selling tickets." That afternoon, she dropped off a new proposal in everyone's mailbox, Linda's Guidelines for Neighborhood Harmony. Highlights included: limit non-neutral vehicle colors, encourage sedans over trucks for visual balance, discourage lawn ornaments that evoke rebellion or sarcasm. My neighbor Tony, who owns a pink flamingo holding a protest sign that says, "I'm retired, not obedient," almost cried laughing. Despite the chaos, I stayed calm. Why? Because I'd been reading the real HOA bylaws. Something didn't add up. Turns out, Linda wasn't just the vice president of the HOA, she was also the acting treasurer. Had been for 3 years. With no election. And that's when things went from petty to political.